Hi, hello, welcome back to my couch, because I'm too lazy to move. Look, I'm sitting here watching TV today. We're filming on my couch. So, this was a book that I read. That book is Upright Women Wanted, and it was sold to me as post-apocalyptic Western Rebel Lesbian Librarians. That sounds so good, right? The queers in the future are just getting it done. And I'm like, yes, give me this book, which I think is actually more of a novella, which is fine because I didn't love it. I'm sure that disappointment is a factor. I was really hoping that this was going to turn out to be amazing. But let's just read the blurb. I've got my laptop right here, and then we'll talk about it. Esther is a stowaway. She's hidden herself away in the librarian's book wagon in an attempt to escape the marriage that her father has arranged for her. A marriage to the man who was previously engaged to her best friend. Her best friend who she was in love with. Her best friend who was just executed for possession of resistance propaganda. Oh gosh, I didn't actually understand that that's what she was executed for. The future American Southwest is full of bandits, fascists, and queer librarian spies on horseback trying to do the right thing. Queer librarian spies on horseback trying to do the right thing sounds like an amazing book. So firstly, I didn't know that her girlfriend was killed for having material she wasn't supposed to. I mean, maybe I would have if I just paid better attention, but it definitely seemed like her girlfriend was killed for being a lesbian, because they are very anti-gay in the post-apocalyptic future. Apparently, when whatever happened to cause everything to be post-apocalypse, we just went full fundamental Christian, and now the gays are banned, and you can get hanged for it or whatever. So our main character has to flee because her girlfriend's just been killed, and she's like, nah fam, I'm out. Me and my lesbian ass, we're leaving. The book begins with her having found her way already to the librarians. She wants to become one. The librarians are obviously a group of women, which turned out to be a much smaller group than I anticipated. It's 2 women and a non-binary person. And they carry literature from town to town. They're like the Pony Express, but with books. Unfortunately, we really didn't get a whole lot of that. I was pretty disappointed, because you get the idea that they are carrying not only the books that are sanctioned, but also subversive materials and stuff like that. And I'm like, ooh, are we gonna get some of that? But not really. Like, our main character rebinds some books at one point, but that's about it. That's about as bookish as we get here. They also smuggle people, which we learn as we discover what might be a polyamorous throuple, but I'm not entirely certain that's what it's supposed to be. The writing style in this book was unfun to follow, and that was part of the problem. Like, I found it very easy to zone out while listening to this book, and I think it's the writing style. I can't quite put my finger on it, but like, none of the characters really resonated with me, really spoke to me. None of them felt like people. The only ones who got characterization were the ones that like were really gonna have something happen later. So our main character, her love interest, and like one of the women in the throuple, but like the other ones barely got anything. And part of it's because this book is so short. But I think the only thing that this author really wanted to write about at all was the romance between the main character and Sai, who is the non-binary person. Yeah, it didn't seem like this author had any interest in the rest of it. The rest of it all seemed like window dressing to get the romance happening. And honestly, I didn't ship them. Like, I did not feel the chemistry. For one thing, the main character is like weirdly thirsty. She has just escaped from watching her girlfriend of a year be hanged, and she's immediately lusting after Sai. And I'm like, what are you doing? Your girlfriend was just hanged in front of you. Like, I get that Sai is supposed to be very attractive to you, but like, calm down. She is so thirsty. It's pretty ridiculous. And Sai is that sort of classic, like, aloof, standoffish person. Sai uses they, them pronouns, and frequently dresses as a woman, but sometimes dresses as a guy. But librarians can only be women, so Sai has to use she, her pronouns when they are in town. It doesn't really come up. Like, there's several times where Sai is like, now everyone remember, you must refer to me as she, her only when we are in town. and that never really comes up. Like, they all just remember to do it, and nobody is ever, like, upset. So I'm really not sure why it was so, like, stressed, like it was going to be a plot point later, and it just never was. The librarians have such potential to be cool. They're riding horses, they're kicking ass, they're shooting guns. But at the same time, I don't know them well enough to care what happens to them, and that's a problem. The only reason that this is set in a post-apocalyptic future is so that the author didn't have to do the legwork of getting anything historically accurate. I am 1000% certain. Because nothing that happens in this book couldn't have been set in sort of an alternate past. Like, I get that the librarians carrying books around is weird and wasn't really part of history, but could easily have been like an alternate timeline history kind of situation. But instead, we've got like vague allusions to a war, but who are we fighting? No, like, there are no details. This is a world without detail. And if you're gonna have a post-apocalyptic setting, it's useful to have a little bit more detail. All we know is that this world hates the gays, and sometimes we mention technology. But our characters don't use any of that technology. Like, it's referenced that if you're very wealthy, you can have, like, fuel and stuff, but everybody rides horses, and it's basically the Old West, and we never, like, they're never like driven after by a tank or anything like that. So it's like, why is that even in there? Why is there the possibility of a tank when we're never gonna see one? Just make this be in the Old West. So there's like no world building, there's very little character work. But if you really want a queer romance between a girl and a non-binary person, maybe you'll like this one. But I'm gonna be real, it was a very big disappointment because the potential is so good. I want to rewrite this book because the potential is so there. Esther, the main character, is a total wet blanket, and I just did not enjoy following her. All she does is whine about how useless she is and lust after Cy. Those are her two modes. And even when she's whining about how useless she is, she always manages to kind of deal with something anyway. So I just... No offense to this author, and they should have put this idea on the burner, written a few other books, and then come back to it when they had a little bit more practice, because, oh, queer people deserve better. They deserve better than this book, because this has such potential. I'm just gonna sit here and moan and whine about how much potential this book had, and how much more interesting it should have been. Just gonna bitch nonstop. That's what I'm gonna do. I hope you like it. I know some people would be frustrated with this book because the cast is almost entirely women, and the few men you do get are like bandits and bad guys. Women can be bad guys in this too. There is really no overarching bad guy except the vague threat of her father coming, and there's kind of a pseudo-villain thrown into the mix, but it's not quite like a mwahaha villain. There's nuances to the villainy. I wish it was better nuances, but it's there. But if you are one of those people who's going to be militant and be like, why don't any of the men get to be heroes, then you're not going to like this book. I'm sorry. It's about lesbian librarians. Only women are allowed to be librarians. So there's a doctor who's not a bad person. He shows up later. He hasn't got much to do, but not every single man they encounter is bad. There's just some bandits, and they are in fact men. And I'm just looking at reviews right now, and this person says that this book is flat, and flat as the desert that surrounds them is my opinion of this book. And far better in concept than execution. That should be the tagline of this book. Far better in concept than execution. That could be the tagline of my life too, to be honest. And if you are queer and you're looking for a queer book where we just get to have adventures and be heroes without having to have all of this drama about the fact that we are queer, this is not the book for you because it's non-stop. Like, we can't show that we're lesbians. Oh, lesbians get killed. You know, don't be gay in the post-apocalyptic future. So this isn't even really the book for you if you're looking for something to just kind of escape from that constant, like, coming out drama kind of story. I think those are all my thoughts as Kinshi sits here and looks disdainfully on about Upright Women Wanted. There just aren't enough ways to say disappointing. Disappointing, saddening, disheartening, dispiriting, discouraging, upsetting, dismaying, depressing, distressing, disenchanting and disillusioning, the synonyms for disappointing, and also my feelings while reading this book. Have you read Upright Women Wanted? What did you think of it? Comment below and let me know. If you want more book reviews, I have so many of them here on this channel, so go check them out. They're all in a handy dandy playlist for you. If you want brand spanking new videos, only the shiniest and newest videos will do. I post new videos Mondays and Fridays, sometimes with videos in between. And if you want even more, you can hop on over to my Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel, plus you support me through my current self-publishing journey that I am on. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking, which includes my Instagram, where you can see pictures of Kinshu, as well as my other pets. But she is posing hardcore for you right now. I hope you appreciate all of the effort that she's putting in. Yes, work it. This is your good side, Kinshu. Anyway, she and I will see you next time with whatever it is we happen to be doing next time. Bye! Thank you everyone for watching that video. You guys rock, but you know who rocks even more? That's right, my patrons, being Callison, Lennox, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Adrienne, Jesper, Ryakio, Irene, Sabby Panda, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, and Lisa. Have you ever heard of a better batch of patrons in your entire life? I bet you haven't. My patrons are the best, and you can fight me. Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free. You can take the sky from me.